Hey YouTube, looking at Beyond the Hype here on Corviknight. So for those of you who do not know, Beyond the Hype is a series I created to look at new Pokemon or Pokemon with new moves and give you the truth behind them, why they're strong, why they are weak, things you should know, and not just hype them up that they're the best thing in the world, because not everything can be the best thing in the world. So Corviknight, the new number 6 ranked Pokemon. I've gone over this multiple times, so I'll go over it quickly. You can see the full analysis Monday and even a bit on yesterday's top teams video. Good stat product, low attack, good defense stamina combo for the over 2000. Flying, steel typing is your main thing, double resisting 3 things and single resisting 7 things. So 10 resistances overall, only 2 weaknesses, fire, electric. Not a lot of fire, electric in the meta. Moveset, what makes it way better than Skarmory is the sand attack. So just being able to spam 4 energy per turn. And to put it in perspective, Steel Wing and Air Slash is exactly what Skarmory has as well. So as you can see here, yes, they do more damage, but that 3 energy per turn compared to the 4 is so different. And you really feel that difference with the sand attack. Iron Head, Sky Attack, Payback. I found that I like getting stab on the Sky Attack with this Pokemon was actually quite good. I was actually like kind of impressed, not super impressed, but like it was a good hitting move. 1.85 damage per energy. Is really, really strong. Iron Head, I think it's funny because I was going to call it a bait move. It's only one, well, I guess it's 2 faster on the second, but it's 1 turn faster on the first and the 2 turns faster on the second. So when you're using this Pokemon, and what I found was like 90% of the time you're just going Sky Attack, and then like if the Pokemon's within just like takeout range, then you go the Iron Head. So I mean, you could like, in terms of payback, the damage per energy is slightly lower than Sky Attack, so I think Sky Attack is just like the best move you can have on this Pokemon. And then like there's a debate, Iron Head versus Payback. I think Iron Head Sky Attack is the right combo, just because I have found at times like if you want just damage per energy, and just like the turn faster and 2 turns faster on the 4th, Sky Attack is way better than Payback. So Sky Attack, and then I just found that I did use Iron Head a lot on these. Not even a bait, just like to take out the opponent with only 1 turn left. Corviknight, Dunsparce, Quagsire, I put it as a top team. The top team I had Corviknight, Dunsparce. Gastrodon is someone I think correctly commented that like if you do that team, you're going to have a problem with Talonflame. So let's look at some battles, and I'll give you my analysis on them. As the title says, is it RPS or is it actually now OP, like a very, very strong Pokemon? So, first things first, someone still thinks this is Color Cup because this is a Kingdra and Palkia team. So, we are resisting the Dragon Breath, getting to the Sky Attack. Again, doing good chip. And this is what I found. Obviously, Kingdra is very glassy, so I don't want to put too much weight into that. And now they lower my attack, which is unfortunate. But like even like a resisted Iron Head from this range, this is what I found. Like I found a lot of time I went like Sky Attack and then Iron Head, and Iron Head was enough to take out most of the second moves here. Because my attack is 2 times lowered, I decided to go into Dunsparce here. Dunsparce acting as a pretty good safe swap, only weak to fighting. But once I saw the Palkia and the Kingdra, I assumed that this is a Color Cup team and they probably don't have a fighter. So I'm able just to make that shift. And I was right in the back is the Toxapex. And so the spamminess of Dunsparce coming out here, going to just grab some shields here. And they're going to throw. So I'll let this go. How much health do I have left on Corviknight? Enough to get to the move here. Although you should probably throw the move before they get to their move. So they do get to move. I'll try and farm up a little bit, but probably all for nothing. And it's a Toxapex. So going with this sand attack, the Sky Attack. Again, chips, it doesn't do amazing because you are still more of a defensive heavy Pokemon. And it's not like a nuke or anything. It's just like a normal hard hitting move that you get stab on. So you'll chip. So let's do, you know what I'll do is I'll do like I've got like 20 minutes worth of battles here. What I'll do is I'll do like 5 battles where I talk about like just how to play it out in different like leads and stuff. And then after 5 or 6 battles, I will talk about what my true thoughts on this thing are, strengths, weaknesses, all that stuff. So there's, speaking about weakness, Talonflame. So coming in directly, Dunsparce. The problem is they're going to have an answer for this with these. And I think I got hard countered on this one. That's kind of, I don't want to get into one of the weaknesses already. But, you know, is it RPS or is it OP? It is very strong, I find. And that Sand Attack makes it very, very strong. We'll talk about it when it comes to like electrics too. But like if you see a fire on the lead and you have your fires covered in the back, you're most likely getting hard countered. And that's exactly basically what happened with this team, right? Talonflame on the lead. We were met with Annihilate in the mid game, a fighter on our Dunsparce. So bad lead, save swap, hit with a fighter, and then I'm pretty sure I get countered in I think it's like a grass or something in the back too. I remember getting pretty countered on this team, or maybe it's somewhat evenish, but no, Wigglytuff. So it's an evenish backline, but just like the charm damage of Wigglytuff is going to be able to overpower me, that I'm not going to be able to flip it, like come back from this matchup, just because the charm damage is doing too much on the Shadow Quagsire. So I'll get off a few Aqua Tails, and I think I even do take it out. But by that point, I'm at like 1 HP, and then I basically just get incinerated down. So I do get to an Aqua Tail. Yeah, I have to burn a shield here. I want to get to an Aqua Tail, but then I get incinerated down, and then they take me. So I almost come back here, right? Get the Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail is not enough to take out. Is close. But come in here, and one incinerate's enough to take me down. Malamar. Again, Psywave resisted. Foul Play, Superpower, both neutral, so they can throw either. So here comes the first move. It's a Superpower. Superpower chips, right? 50%. Out comes a Drapion. I have 2. This team struggled with a couple Pokemon, and it's because I have two ground attack users. So the flyers, like when I got into stuff that resisted the ground, is when I cut. Grass is a bit of an issue, and so is some flyers. Like Mandibuzz was actually quite hard if you didn't like. Even Dunsparce did not do amazing against. Like it wins it, but it's not like overpowering or anything. So if you're gonna run this team, note that flyers and grass are your two sort of tough issues if you're going to play this out. So I'm throwing Stone Edge here because I assume I'm only going to get to one move. But they actually do shield it. So, okay. Now I'm just like, okay, now it's just chip damage range. I just want to chip you so I can get to the move here. So chip you. They'll get to a move. And they'll get to another move. They're definitely loaded with energy here. So Foul Play to take me out. I have to just kind of eat it on Corviknight here. I assume I was going to lose CMP, which is why I didn't throw it right away. So they do land the Foul Play, and out comes a Clodsire. So through this, because I was trying to throw this at the Malamar, and then I'm like, okay, let's just chip it. I'm not in drill run range yet, so let's just stay in here and chip it, because then it would put it in drill run range, which is what I want to do. So there we go. And we CMP, which is huge, because now they're going to burn some energy, and I'll get my Dunsparce on this. At one point I was like, I should farm up and come out with like a move after, but then I'm like, let's just take this out, because then there's no way they can even take me out even with the superpower. So take that out, and then I think I roll out down before, or I could charge move down before they even get to a superpower. So for Alligator is and I probably take the first move. Just again, this is whenever I play a new Pokemon, for those of you who are new to this channel, I always just let a lot of moves go, because I want to just see like, okay, what's your bulk stat, how much can you damage can you do, what's your bulk, stuff like that. So takes it to the yellow. Eventually the Mandibuzz comes out, so I will align here. But again, this is what I'm talking about. So I was like a few snarls slow getting in here. But it takes 3 rollouts to take this stupid thing out. 3 rock slides to take this thing out, or 2 rock slides and 2 rock slides and an extremely aggressive double shield farm down here, if I remember correctly, or maybe that was a different one with Mandibuzz. No, I think this is, yeah, I have to double shield this because I'm in the yellow, and then I'm like, I can roll it down, and then I'm like, nope, Mandibuzz is just too damn tanky here. So unfortunately, I cannot roll it down. I have to burn both shields. So I will come out with energy, but not the ideal situation to be in here. But it is a Clodsire, so Clodsire is beautiful. I have Drill Run, I have Quagsire, and I have Corviknight with a Sand Attack and is a Steel Flyer, so really resisting a lot of the movesets on this thing. So here comes the second Drill Run. They let it go. Now it's in basically farm down range. And speaking about, not farm down, but like basically even a resisted Aqua Tail here does enough because these mud shots are adding up shadow on shadow here, right? So Hydro lands, get another Aqua Tail off, won't take out, but it'll chip, right? That's all I need to do is I need to just chip it. And now I'm going to come the Dunsparce because I'm normal typing, so Claw's double resisted, so I'm forcing them just to throw their energy. That's all that I'm doing here. Forcing that energy, committing to the farm down, coming out with multiple moves, and just going Iron Head here, and then I think Sky Attack next because I'm loaded with energy. Yeah, Sky Attack for the win. Okay, there's still 11 minutes left. What should we do here? Should we talk about pros and cons and what you need to know and not know? I was going to say, let me see if I can take a Rock Slide here. I wonder if I take a Hydro here. Anyways, or you're going to chip. If it's chips to like 50%, we'll talk about the shield. Okay, let's just talk about, and then I'm going to come in here just because I resist the claws. So you guys can watch the battles if you want. Let's talk about this Pokemon. Hype, RPS, how much better is it than Skarmory, all that fun stuff. Is it meta? Yeah. Okay. So, I found a few things with this Pokemon. And let's just go back for history here. This is going to be a long day and talk, but we got to start with the history. The history is, this is Skarmory with a better fast move. The stat products are very, very similar. Very similar. I think with a little more bulk on, a little more attack on this Pokemon, if I remember it. Now, let me just bring them up side by side so I can just confirm. Oops, I can see it in the background. That looks awkward. Oh, well, you guys can kind of see it too. No, let's get rid of that. That's ugly. That is ugly. Okay. So, Corviknight has a 107 attack, maybe slightly lower, 107 attack, 128 defense, and 151 stamina. And Skarmory is almost identical, 106, 163, 122. So basically their attack is almost identical, and their defense and stamina are just like inverse of each other. So pretty clone-ish. So history time. Skarmory was, for the first 6 seasons of GBL, a top 5 Pokemon. And what made it so strong primarily was its typing. The Steel Flying typing is the best typing duo in this game for the meta. And that is because it has 10 resistances and only 2 weaknesses. And those 2 weaknesses are very, very underrepresented in the meta. Fire and electric, right? There's barely any electric. Now there's one more with Morpeko realistically, but there's a million ground types. So you're not seeing, like I don't use Togedemaru anymore. No one's using Electivire. No one's using Charjabug still. Some people use because Charjabug is quite strong, but basically it's like Charjabug, Lantern got nerfed. So it's Charjabug, Morpeko are your electrics. No one's using fire because there's a million ground and 500 water, right? So between Clodsire and Marowak and Feraligatr and Quagsire, it just like there's no play for fires in this meta. So Talonflame gets ability a little bit as a half flyer. So you basically only need to watch out for Talonflame. Some people use Typhlosion, right? So 2 weaknesses that aren't very used, whereas you double resist poison everywhere. You single resist ground everywhere. Just a lot of so many resistances. So that's what made Skarmory so strong. And Skarmory had an okay moveset. Like Air Slash was never amazing. It was usable. Air Slash was usable and it had Sky Attack and Brave Bird, but you always had limitations against steals. And so what happened with Skarmory is two things. The first is the meta changed. And the meta became you always had some issues at the beginning, but then for a while it became Registeel, Bastiodon, Lantern, right? So based on that was the first issue. And then the second issue is freaking Noctowl was too overpowered, so they nerfed Sky Attack. Because Noctowl was the main meta, like beating freaking Galarian Stunfisk, so they nerfed Sky Attack, so then it became worse. Okay, so Skarmory goes away. So everyone is so hyped about this new Pokemon with the exact same typing, the exact same stat product pretty much, and pretty much a similar moveset. So there's only there's three things why this is getting way more hype than Skarmory and why this is at the top compared to Skarmory. The first is the meta has again shifted. We're not in a steel electric meta anymore. We are in a ground poison meta. So right off the bat, the meta that you are going against, you are now seeing way more resistances for you. You're resisting a lot more than you need to worry about coming out. Not just like the electric and fire weaknesses, but it's also like the bunch of steals and stuff that would other with Bastiodon and stuff like that would just like resist your Iron Head and Sky Attack moveset. So right off the bat, you are significantly better against just the main meta. The second thing is because there are so many flying Pokemon that got nerfed, we're in a kind of need for flyers in this meta, right? We had Wing Attack that nerfed all the main flyers in the meta. Mantine, Pelipper, Noctowl, Skarmory got nerfed, right? So flyers are super underrepresented right now. Again, a ground dominated meta, you should be seeing a ton of flyers, but you only really have two flyers. You have Mandibuzz and Talonflame. And Talonflame gets by kind of as uniqueness in the flying, and then Mandibuzz gets by on its tank. So to have another flyer in the meta gives it a second leg up. And the third thing, and I think the most important, is the Sand Attack. And again, to put it in perspective with Skarmory, you are running Steel Wing or Air Slash. They both charge at 3 energy per turn. The problem is a Sky Attack right now on Skarmory with Steel Wing or Air Slash would take 20 turns, and Brave Bird's almost the exact same. Are they both 55 energy now? Oh man, this thing got really nerfed. So basically Brave Bird and Sky Attack both have the same energy at 55, but Brave Bird's obviously like a nuke. So that's why Skarmory is so much worse, because they nerfed Sky Attack, right? They nerfed it and buffed it, and then they nerfed it so much and then rebuffed it, but it's still not where it used to be. But it's an okay move. But not for slower energy charging Pokemon. So Steel Wing, Air Slash, which Corviknight also has, gets to Sky Attack in 20. That's not going to cut it. And the same thing here. If you go to Corviknight and instead of using Sand Attack, you use Steel Wing, I guess would be the best move. It takes 20 turns to get to a Sky Attack and 18 to get to the Iron Head. And that does not cut it. So when you are getting to those moves that take 20 turns, you do not want a move that does 100 damage. So let me bring up and let me give you a perfect example, because I'm a genius. Okay, so Yeah. So when you have, when there's, I call them like 3 buckets of charge moves. There's the very, very spammy ones, which are 8, 10, and 12 turns worth of moves. So you can see, for those of you who do not know what the numbers on the side are, take the first fast move, whether it's a 1, 3, or 4, and you multiply it by the number of moves in the move count here to get to how many turns worth of moves it takes to get to. So Corviknight, it would take 13 sand attacks to get to an Iron Head. It would take 14 sand attacks to get to a Sky Attack. On Dunsparce, it would take 3 turns worth of rollouts to get for 4. It would take 3 turns to get to Drill Run, aka 12 turns worth of moves. So Dunsparce is a more spammy one because you go 12, 9, 12, 9. Quagsire, 2 times 5 is 10, right? So you got some, these are the spammy Pokemon. Dunsparce, Quagsire, stuff like that. So Primeape, Feraligatr, 8, 10, and 12 are your spammy. Your second level is between 12 and 16, right? And Corviknight falls in that range. And then there's the 16 plus. If you're a 16 plus move, you better really friggin' hit hard. So you want your nukes and stuff like that. So Sludge Wave on Toxapex is a 20 turn move. Poison Jab is a 2 turn move. It takes 10 2-turn moves to get to Sludge Wave. Now, Sludge Wave does 132 damage, right? So that's what makes Toxapex kind of scary, is Poison Jab does add up a lot. You got some bulk, and Brine's garbage, but Sludge Wave is good. And if you get hit by Sludge Wave, it threatens you. Iron Head and Sky Attack does not threaten you. It does good damage, right? We have 102 damage with the Sky Attack, only 84 on an Iron Head, which is why you're like never throwing Iron Head. You're always throwing Sky Attack unless it's like resisted. I don't know why when flying Rock. Yeah, Rock would be one. But most of the times for 102 attack, you're throwing Sky Attack. And then if you want to just finish them off with a quicker move, you're throwing Iron Head. But as 84 damage move and 102 damage moves, these moves are not taking anything out, right? So they need to be, this is why Skarmory is useless. It has a Brave Bird, which is nice, but Sky Attack is useless as a 20 turn move. It's not useless as a 14 turn move. And Iron Head is not useless as a 13 turn move. So getting to those moves at a decent pace to do decent damage, and let's not ignore the fact that Sand Attack, you have 2 weaknesses, electric and fire, and ground is super effective against electric and fire. So now all of a sudden your weaknesses, you now have a super effective fast move to throw at them, right? So it makes this a really more dynamic Pokemon than something like Skarmory, which is why it's better, which is why it's so high ranked, right? Because you have everything that you had good about Skarmory from the early days. You have the stat product, you have the typing, and now you have the fast move in a changed meta. So, is it a good Pokemon? Yes. Is it overpowered? No. Is it RPS? A little bit. So what is RPS for those of you who do not know? Rock, paper, scissors. And what makes it rock, paper, scissors? What makes it rock, paper, scissors is do you just get do you dominate or just get killed, essentially? Like if you go into a matchup blindly, are you going to just dominate a Pokemon, or are you just going to get killed by the Pokemon? And there's not a ton of in between. So with Corviknight, because it has so many resistances, there, as you saw, if you were watching some of the matchups, I went against Charmers a bunch. I had the Dragon Breath user. There's just so many things that this resists, which makes it a very, very strong Pokemon. But there were a couple matchups where it's like a Talonflame lead, and if you're trying to build a balanced team like Corviknight and Quagsire or Mudboy, again, the earliest combo was Swampert and Skarmory. If you're trying to build that balanced team and they have a Talonflame on the front, they've probably got you answered in the back. And so you're going to see some RPS qualities out of that. If you are if you're building a balanced team and you lose the lead hard, you're probably going to get countered in the mid game and back too. And if you can't flip it, you're in big trouble. So there are going to be some of that you need to watch out for. But yeah, it's definitely usable, a strong Pokemon. I think it becomes an instant top. It's definitely a top 3 flyer. Corviknight, Mandibuzz, and Talonflame, I think, are the only really 3 usable flying Pokemon in the Great League. Yeah, Sand Attack is what makes it. Again, the changes of the meta and all that stuff help it, but the Sand Attack really puts it over the edge here. Yeah, so if you use it, you can probably stay in most matchups. I would get out of the Electric. I would get out of Fires, and the only third one that you need to debate, which I think you probably still get out of, is like something like a Steel. Because yes, you have super effective Sand Attack, but if you only have a resisted Iron Head or Sky Attack, that's not the greatest. What you could also do is, if you do see a Steel, what you could do is actually just stay in and Sand Attack a crap ton, doing super effective moves and getting energy, and then bank that energy and get into a safe swap after. Just make sure it's a bulky safe swap that can take a lot of damage, because you are essentially letting them farm as well, that you would then take damage on. Last thing I'll say about this Pokemon is, because of its stat product, it plays very similar to Skarmory, where you're comfortable taking moves and knowing that one move is never going to take out. And depending on the Pokemon, if they're very bulky, you're going to look at minimum 2 Sky Attacks. Maybe a Sky Attack Iron Head for the less bulky Pokemon. But for the most part, you're never going to... There's going to be very, very, very few Pokemon that you can go Sand Attack, Sky Attack. And, you know, like, one of the things that Sky Attack is super effective on is grass, but your Sand Attack is resisted on grass. So even that, you're probably going to need a Sky Attack, maybe plus Iron Head, or maybe even a second Sky Attack. So that's my thought process on the Pokemon. Definitely one worth building up and testing out. Just keep all that in mind. So hopefully this deep dive was helpful. Yeah, I feel like that was helpful. So that is it. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you've used it. Let me know if you played against it. Let me know your thoughts on it in the comments below. In terms of so what happened how did I get this? I was sitting on a stop. I used 7 lure modules. So 7 30-minute lure modules. I got 9 of them. This is one that I actually got. I kind of got lucky. I got a 9-15-13 that evolved right to 1486. So I didn't even need to like power up anything. Just right to 1486. However, even with the Mega 3 Pidgeot on, getting like 8 and pineapping it, so getting like 8 candies per, I still needed to dump 73 rare candies to evolve it, because you need 100. You need 25 for the first evolution and 100 for the second evolution. So I needed to dump 73 rare candies in it to showcase this. That being said, if you have a bunch of lures, honestly, the average was like 1 to 1.5 of the birds per lure. So just keep that in mind if you're like trying to hunt it that way. That's what I found, having used it for 7 times today, maybe even 8. Anyways, that is it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.